This segment is going to be very depressing to many people in the audience, and I do apologize for that, but it has to be reported because it's so troubling and atrocious. The president still doesn't understand viruses at some general level. You remember that early in the entire coronavirus pandemic, we learned from Trump's statements that he doesn't really understand vaccines. There were signs that he didn't really understand the concept of virus versus bacteria. He didn't understand the concept of contagion or of viral spread or exponential growth or herd immunity or the concept of per capita or any of it. But by now, we would at least hope that he sort of understands the concept of a virus, but he still doesn't. This is a clip from his press briefing on Friday. Now, after we listen to it and watch it, we'll put up a transcript of it on the screen because it is actually so weaponized that you need to see it in writing to fully grasp it. Here is Trump talking about the germ is a genius and it has figured out how not to be hurt by antibiotics, which, of course, antibiotics are for bacteria, not for viruses. Take a look at this.
Brilliant enemy. They develop drugs like the antibiotics. You see it. Antibiotics used to solve every problem. Now one of the biggest problems the world has is the germ has gotten so brilliant that the antibiotic can't keep up with it. And they're constantly trying to come up with a new. People go to a hospital and they go for a heart operation. That's no problem, but they end up dying from problems. You know the problems I'm talking about. There's a whole genius to it. We're fighting, not only is it hidden, but it's very smart, okay? It's invisible, and it's hidden, but it's very smart. And you see that in a case like Denver. But, I think we're doing well, and they're on Denver.
Antibiotics used to solve every problem, he says, until the germ got brilliant and now can avoid it. Except, of course, coronavirus is a virus. You don't treat a virus with antibiotics. Now, let's look at some of this in writing because it's actually really, really crazy. Look at what Donald Trump says. This is a very brilliant enemy. You know, it's a brilliant enemy. They develop drugs like antibiotics. You see it. Antibiotics used to solve every problem. Now, one of the biggest problems the world has is the germ has gotten so brilliant that the antibiotic can't keep up with it. And they're constantly trying to come up with a new. People go to a hospital and they catch. They go for a heart operation. That's no problem. But they end up dying from problems. You know the problems I'm talking about. There's a whole genius to it. We're fighting. Not only is it hidden, but it's very smart, okay? It's invisible and it's hidden, but it's very smart. And you see that in a case like Denver. Now, there are some defenders of Trump that are arguing Trump is actually very astutely talking about the problem of antibiotic resistance. Is there any evidence that suggests Trump understands antibiotic resistance? Maybe what Trump meant is that the genius of the germ is that it chose to be a virus instead of a bacteria so that antibiotics wouldn't work against it. Is that something? He has the nuclear codes, folks. He has nuclear launch codes, and he thinks a virus is a genius and that it's not affected by antibiotics as part of that genius. This reminds me of what might be Donald Trump's other big, crazy, unintelligible rant about Uncle John Trump and nuclear weapons. There are many highlights or lowlights, but the genius germ rant reminded me of the Uncle John Trump rant, which was this one. Remember it?
You know what irks me? Look, having nuclear, my uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump at MIT. Good genes, very good genes, okay? Very smart. The Wharton School of Finance, very good, very smart. You know, if you're a conservative Republican, if I were a liberal, if I ran as a liberal Democrat, they would say I'm one of the smartest people anywhere in the world. It's true. But when you're a conservative Republican, they try, do they do a number? That's why I always started, went to Wharton, was a good student, went there, did this, built the, I have to give my credentials all the time because we're at a little disadvantage. But you look at the nuclear deal, the thing that really bothers me, it would have been so easy, and it's not as important as these lives are. Nuclear is so powerful. My uncle explained that to me many, many years ago, the power, and that was 35 years ago. He would explain the power of what's going to happen, and he was right. Who would have thought? But when you look at what's going on with the 4 prisoners, now it used to be 3, now it's 4. But when it was 3, and even now, I would have said it's all in the messenger. Fellas, and it is fellas because, they haven't figured that the women are smarter right now than the men.
So not only is that insane to the degree that it rivals Trump's more recent genius Germ rant, note also how much more articulate Trump is in that segment from just a few years ago. The decline in Trump's speech capacity becomes even more clear when you look even just a few years ago, never mind 10 or 15 years ago. We are really, truly, acutely screwed here, guys. One of our sponsors today is Helix Sleep, and it's a sponsor I'm thrilled about because I sleep on a Helix mattress at home, and it's just the perfect mattress. One of the best things about Helix is you don't have to guess which mattress do I need, which one will be good for me. You take their famous sleep quiz on their website, you tell them your body type, your sleeping position, your back pain issues you might have, and they will pair you with a mattress that will be perfect for you. I took the sleep quiz. The mattress they suggested was exactly what I needed. I often get too hot at night. The mattress keeps me cool. It's not too soft. It's not too firm. The texture is right. And I've just been getting way better sleep. You only buy a mattress every decade or so. Don't get stuck with something that's not perfect for you. And all Helix mattresses come with a 10-year warranty, and they'll even come to your house and pick it up within 100 days if you don't love it. But I think you will. All of my viewers will get up to $200 off your order, and you'll get 2 super premium pillows for free when you go to the link right underneath this video.